Or Nick.
Morning, Emilio. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. How's your weekend going so far?
Oh, it's all right. Pretty low key one. How about yours?
Um, yeah, pretty low key as well, actually. Uh, my wife and I went to the farmer's market with our dog yesterday. It's like dog friendly, so it was pretty nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What kind of dog do you have?
She's a mix. So we adopted her 2 years ago, and she is a primarily a boxer mix. But the three other breeds that she has in her are Husky, Pit Bull, and Treeing Walker Coonhound.
Okay. Wow, a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's her name's Wanda. We named her after the Marvel character. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Do
I've
you have
got
pets?
a yeah, I've got a dog. He's also mix of things. He's actually we got a DNA test and he's Beagle and Lab and Pit Bull.
Very
Um
nice.
yeah, and then just like mutt. He actually has some boxer too.
Okay, okay, that's cool. That's cool. Is he pretty high energy or
Um I would say he's like medium.
okay?
I've
Okay,
fostered like high energy dogs before, like true high energy dogs, and he's not like that.
okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
so
gotcha.
that's fortunate.
That's
How
good.
about yours? Is she really?
She's not too bad. I think like initially she was pretty high energy, but she sort of mellowed out as she's gotten older. So she's more of a couch potato now.
That's nice. Hey everyone.
Hey y'all.
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, I think we might be at quorum. Hannah's gonna be a little late, so I wonder if yeah, let's just get started now. That sounds good to me. Um, Welcome to week two. Hopefully your first week was good. If not, we'll make your next week even better, hopefully. So let's get started with some demos. Personally, I think this is a great kind of playground for you all. Because personally, I found through engineering interviews, it is a lot of demoing. So definitely use this as like a place to experiment for how to demo things to folks. I would probably recommend if you can do it with the deployed project. Most people like to see that rather than running stuff on localhost. But if you do have to run on localhost, that's fine too. So I guess my next question is which pair would like to go first?
Aloe and I can go since we're yeah. Um, okay. So
Sounds
yeah, the way we were going to divide this was Ella was going to run through the app itself and with like that part of the demonstration, and then I would do the code, so the concise walkthrough of the code.
sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay. Do you have a preference in terms of like which you'd like to see first?
Um, this is just my bias. Someone might tell you something different, but personally, I like to see the finished product, like demo, what you add, and then dive into the code.
Okay. Okay.
Other people might have other opinions, so take that with a grain of salt.
Okay. Um,
Okay,
yeah.
I can start then. Um, I'm gonna test it myself with the the demo before, or with the deployed before I demo it, because I have not done the deployed. Oh. Okay, cool. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Hey, host.
Sorry about that. Man, Zoom is really strict on this stuff. Okay. Should be good to go now.
Okay. Make this full screen. Sweet. Okay, so the sign-in function was done already. So when you sign in, it should populate the list that you have. Currently, we just have that one list in our database. If you click it, in theory, it would end up going to that list at some point. But because we don't, why are you in full screen? Because we don't have the routes set up yet. We can go up here and just add list to the URL. And it's going to open up that list page, which is going to have all the items from that list. So here they are rendered. We didn't do any of the styling stuff, right? So currently, there's only one of them is capitalized. So in the future, that is something that we could do. But yeah, and then when you sign out, you do have to refresh the page for all the stuff to kind of go away. But that's our feature.
In the code that Aloe and I worked on for that feature. So we had 2 tasks to do, and I'll go ahead and share the code first. Let's see. Okay. And everyone's able to see my code or our code. Good. Okay, cool. So yeah, so Aloe and I had to work on 2 tasks as part of our issue this week. For our first task, we had to use the single list component to render the name of each shopping list that a user is subscribed to within our home component. The single list component itself contains a button that references the path for that list when clicked. So in the app file, which contained code that was provided for us, the home component is receiving the data for each for the shopping lists from our Firestore database. And the way it's doing that is by using the use shopping lists function here on line 38, which obtains each user's shopping lists based on their user ID and email. The lists that are returned from this function are passed down into the home component as a variable named data. So going to the actual home component now, Aloe and I created a map function to iterate through the objects of data for each shopping list, through the objects of data. And our map function returns the name and path for each list in a single list component. We originally used the index of the list to serve as the key for each one, but based on helpful feedback that we received from Hannah and Stephanie, we changed the key to be the name of each list which results in a more unique index that's more easily identifiable. For the second task of our issue, Allo and I were instructed to use the list item component to render the name of each item within the list component. The list item component contains list items with the name for each grocery item. And moving on to the actual list component, which I'll pull up here. Hold on, let me backtrack for a second because I jumped the gun here. The list item component is receiving data for each item from our Firestore database as shown here in our app file. And specifically, it's doing that by using the use shopping list data function here on line 43, which uses in the backend an on snapshot method, which returns data for that current shopping list based on its path. That shopping list is then passed into the list component as a prop named data. So inside the actual list component, Allo and I used a similar approach to how we solved the first task of our issue, which was by using a map function to iterate through the list objects. And this concludes our code walkthrough.
Nice job. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, great job. I'm trying to think if I have any questions. I guess my first question is, how challenging was it for you to not go beyond what was required for the task and style it?
I guess I can answer that first. I mean, when I look at it, I'm like, yes, I want to change it. I want to do things to it. But I know that that's like not the thing. I know that we're not supposed to. And so like knowing that that's like not an aspect of it makes it really easy to just not do it. Because knowing that like we're not making this look pretty yet, it makes it like a pretty finite way in my brain to be like, did it work? Yes. Is it pretty? Nope, but it worked. So that's all that was required of me in this moment. So I think it's like it's easier to have that boundary based on like knowing like this is exactly what you're working on.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach to have. Oh, sorry, Amelia. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just going to say I echo Allo's thoughts, and also just what also helped is that the issues were because they were clear, like it did kind of help to set that boundary. That's all I had to add.
Yeah, I also want to echo or like piggyback on that. Because in like a former project that I've worked on, sometimes the tickets would be larger or there would be a little bit or way more vague, or it'd be a lot of like, researching and then doing this. And also I was provided a lot of like autonomy to just kind of make those decisions. So with that stuff, then it is different because it's like there are very loose boundaries. And so it's like, well, I can style this. I've been told I can style this, but then it's like you get into the whole rigmarole of styling, which is its own thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach to take. Anecdotally, with applying to jobs and stuff, you probably do just want to do like exactly what they're asking, because I've definitely been on like as an interviewer where people would give people like demerits or whatever because they didn't follow the directions, if that's part of it. So, but anyway, anyone else have any other questions, mentors or collabs, before we move on?
I know that this is our part of the code, but I really want to make a comment that like Emilio, oh my goodness, I can totally see your lawyer aspect in yourself when you're going through the code. Like very thorough, very concise. Like if we had switched roles, I would not have been as concise as you were. So I appreciate you being the person because now I'm like, aha, I'm gonna think more.
Thanks, Allo. Thank you.
Awesome. Stephanie, are you comfortable with presenting by yourself? If not, we can skip this for now until Hannah gets in.
I think
Hannah's
Hannah
here.
made it.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Oh, awesome. I didn't see you. All right.
Yeah, I've been
So,
here.
Hannah, you're next.
We did not discuss what our demo at all. I didn't even think about it. I didn't realize what that would include. Do you have a preference, Hannah? Do you want to show the code or show the live app, like the?
I'm okay with either. Maybe if you want to show the app, I can just show the code. It's definitely, we had a less complex sort of issue than Allo and Emilio.
Okay, cool. I'm not sure how to deploy it with not from the live. So if, like you said to deploy, or yeah, Danielle, you said to deploy the app to show it from the actual app. I'm not sure how to do that, or at least right now, I'm not sure how to do it.
I
It's
think it
already
should
deployed.
be, yeah, what Aloe said.
It's got a bookmark in the Slack.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, when you merge your PR, it'll auto deploy it for you. So you don't even think about it.
Mark, I don't know why I feel dumb right now. Like, how do I open it?
No worries. Yeah, at the top of our Slack channel.
Should be in the chat, right? This
in
one?
our chat? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I'm silly. I feel silly, but I'll have to double check that I understand that.
On the one that I'm opening, I'm not seeing the updated one. I'm wondering why.
May have to refresh or hard refresh.
Mine also had an auth issue the first time that I tried to sign in. It gave me an error that I'd never seen. So I also had to just refresh.
Okay, the hard refresh worked. That's so annoying.
Okay. Mine just worked. Okay, so I'm just gonna share my screen. First, I'm going to. You guys are a great example of how to do this well. So thank you for going first. I really appreciate getting to see that how you demoed something. That was awesome.
Emilio set a high bar.
That yeah,
As he
both
was
of you.
talking, I'm like, oh my God, I can't talk like that.
both
That's
of you
precisely what I was trying to get at.
So I spent a lot time, probably more than I should have, cramming that to make it concise. Though, just yeah, it's yeah.
That's awesome.
That
We can
lawyer, I'm
tell.
telling you.
Yeah, we can tell you did well. Okay, I'm ready. Share my screen. There, the green one. Okay. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, so I've signed into the app with all of your help, and I'm gonna hard refresh it just to make sure. So far, it seems that the authorization is still working. Our task was to make these links work. We used React Router DOM. If I click the list button, it throws us to the list page. If I click the manage list button, it throws us to the manage list page, and the home button takes us back home. I think that's it. That was it. We did it. Thank you for your time.
Cool. Thanks, Steph. And then, okay, I'll share the code. Sorry, I have my dual monitor set up and it's telling me to do something. Hold. I don't know. Okay, tell me if you can see. Oh, hold on. This is my first time sharing with Zoom on this dual screen. Can you see that? Yeah? Okay,
Yeah, it
great.
looks good.
Okay, amazing. All right. Okay, so this is the code. This was all previously, these were A tags before. So we imported the navlink component from React Router DOM, and we just really simply switched out those A tags to the navlinks. And these were previously href. I guess the navlink uses the to property, so we just replaced those. That was really it. It was really simple, really easy. But like Stephanie said, maybe it was just in our like pull request that I think Jeremiah, you mentioned this too when we had our intro call, that there's a specific reason why nav links just work better when you're using React. So it was a better option than just using the regular A tag that you have with HTML. So yeah, that was our issue. Was really simple to fix, and now everything works perfectly, I think.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I think the biggest thing about all this is just kind of get comfortable talking about your code, sharing it with people, because when you're in an interview, that's not the time to be experimenting with that. But I don't really have any questions. Anyone else have a question before we move on about the demo?
I don't have a question, but I did realize something after seeing the code again, based on a comment that Jeremiah made, I think, on our code is, I just noticed that y'all left in your comments, for the like to do, and that was something that I know Jeremiah commented on ours for taking out. So, that was something that I missed in my code review, but something that, I don't think that we need because it's done. But that's just my comment.
That's a good point. I totally missed that. I feel like my eyes like glaze over the green sometimes.
Especially
But
because some of the stuff in there like is important to keep. And so sometimes you like see it so much and then it just becomes this like, it's there now, I'm gonna keep it. And then you forget that, oh wait, no, I don't need to keep that one.
yeah, true. Good catch. Okay. If I just delete that, is it okay if I just push that from, or like commit that right on the main branch, do you think? Just because it's, or do I like need to make a branch to be like, oh, I removed this comment, if anyone has a suggestion?
I think it's okay from main because it's not taking away anything that is like code, but mentors.
You can, yeah, I think it's fine to change that on main. Just try to do it, maybe right after this call or something.
Sure.
Or you could also just loop that in with your next week's work and just have it be part of that one. It really doesn't matter though.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Yeah, I think it really just depends on your team agreement. Like I've worked at places where people push domain, but before you do that, definitely make sure it's chill with the rest of your team. I think that's kind of my rule of thumb.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, Nick, go ahead and do issues if you're ready.
Sure. Share my screen. Okay. All right. Okay, this is the first one. So here we have setting up a new shopping list. So I'll just kind of read through this. Shopping list is a set of items associated with the owner's unique ID and the name of the shopping list. Users need to be able to create a new shopping list. To do this, the home view should present them with a form that allows them to enter the name of their list. Additionally, we need to do a few things to create the list. So we need to save the token to local storage, save the list to our database using the create list function, and show the user the list view. So we can go down to the AC for this one's kind of broken up into two main parts, the UI and sort of database related stuff. The home view displays that form that allows users to enter the name of their shopping list and then create a list with that name. The input accepts the name of the input, the input that accepts the name of the item that has a semantic label element associated with it. The user can submit this form with both the mouse and enter key. When the user submits the form, they see a message indicating that their list was either indicating that the list was or was not created and saved to the database. And then some of the data related tasks, clicking the button uses the create list function to create a new shopping list for the user. And that's from the Firebase API. The shopping list path is stored in local storage using the set list path function. And once the list has been created and saved, the user is redirected to the list view. And you have a couple of notes down here. Create list takes 3 arguments: the current user's ID, the user's email, and the name of the shopping list. So that'll be what's in your form. The set list path function takes 1 argument, the new list token. And a note for resources if you're having trouble with the redirect. Looks like you're going to be using the use navigate hook from React Router. So I'll go ahead and assign these. Oh, you know what I'm realizing now that I don't know. I think we must have like a schedule for pairs and who is supposed to be paired with whom so that we are on so that, we don't repeat or anything.
Emilio and Stephanie.
Okay.
It's in the project brief.
Oh, great. Okay. Emilio is not coming up. Okay. Stephanie.
Nick, try searching 3 is in the number 3 and then Campos.
There you are. Okay. So any initial questions about this one, Stephanie and Emilio?
Not yet.
Yeah, me neither. I have to go. I'm going out of town on Thursday afternoon, but I'm back on Friday, just so we can, I don't know, just to say that now.
Okay. Yeah, that's something you can work out between 2 of you as far as your schedule. Okay. I'm sure it'll take you diving in to realize if you have questions. So we'll stay tuned on that. Okay, so the next one is adding new items to the shopping list. So you just need to be able to add items to the shopping list. To do this, the add item view should present them with a form that allows them to enter two things: the name of the item and an estimate of when they think they'll need to buy the item again. And we have a little resource here, which is a README file for the shopping list API. So be sure to take a look at this. This has, oh, nice. This, okay. Great. This has a lot of the, basically shows you the different functions and arguments and a little description of them that you might be using for this. Okay. So this is also broken down into UI and data related tasks. The manage list view displays a form that allows people to enter their name, the name of the item, and select how soon they'll be anticipating to buy it again. There are 3 choices for this: soon corresponding to 7 days, kind of soon corresponding to 14 days, and not so soon corresponding to 30 days. So this, I remember from when I did this, that this, these like timetables are kind of the source of a lot of the complexity of the app. So this is a good time to really get yourself familiarized with how these work and when the person is picking them, because I think what will eventually happen is they will pick an item and say when they need it again, and then, you know, time will pass and the list will automatically tell them that they need something again because of how soon they said they needed it when they originally added it. That makes sense. So just keep that in mind for the future. So you'll also have an input that accepts the name of the item and has a semantic label element. User can submit this form with mouse and enter key. When user submits, they see a message indicating that the item either was or was not saved to the database. Okay, and then we have a console log in the add item function that you're going to replace with, and the actual function that adds the new item to the Firestore database. And you're going to import that function from the Firebase Firestore module. Oh, and like I was saying, the user's soon, not soon, kind of soon choice is used to calculate next purchase date. So they're going to add something, you know, actual time will pass, and then that will, you know, through like JavaScript date time and, you know, those kind of APIs, you'll have a next purchase date that will kind of be an internal thing. And then when it reaches a certain point, the list will let them know that they're supposed to buy it again. So we have some other notes down here. When the feature is implemented correctly, new items will automatically show up in the list view because stream list item gets new data from Firestore every time there's a change. You will know your label is correctly implemented if you click on the label and keyboard focus moves to the related input. We have some documentation for the label tag. Users will be able to submit the form with the enter key if you listen for the right JavaScript event on the right element. If you're adding an on key down listener anywhere, you might be overcomplicating things. Okay, so good to know. The add item form has the potential to be a lot of scope. Stick to the AC. Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, this is where, especially with this stuff and calculating the next purchase date, this is where, you know, these tasks definitely are getting more complicated, certainly than what you've just done the first week. So just keep returning to this list as you're working and just making sure that you're, you know, that you're only doing this stuff, because in the course of working and trying to understand what's going on, you might end up trying to do too much. So just be aware of that. Okay, so this one's going to be and aloe.
I don't think mine is under aloe. It should just be under Eon flower.
Okay.
I don't like having my name on the internet as much as possible.
Probably smart. Okay. There we go. And any initial questions on this?
My only question that I have is, I know that it's not in the acceptance criteria currently, but in somewhere in this project, will there be the option to like add like a little like eye bubble that you can like hover to like give the user an understanding of what soon, kind of soon, and not soon mean?
Yeah, and in fact, Jeremiah might know how this is currently, but I think I remember that being its own task in a future ticket of giving a visual indicator of the next purchase date.
Sweet, yeah.
I don't know if that's still a future task, but yeah, I would say if it's not here, don't worry about it at the moment.
I had
Oh,
sorry, go ahead, Jenna.
I was just gonna say the visual indicator is something on like the shopping list itself to show when like you'll put it in an order so that way users will know like what's coming up and like what is further down the line. Something like this where you're asking about like indicating on the like adding the item page what those different options mean of soon, kind of soon, not soon. That'd be something that you probably would be thinking about when you are like doing the styling and when you have like more I guess like rain over the app near the end.
Okay, anything else?
My question was just in the notifications. In the past, I've used like a couple different like Toastify and a couple different libraries. I don't know if we want to try to use the same one that we're using to like we're both having to tell the user something. Do we want to just use alert for now, or is that something we could do? We could talk about now, or is that something we should all talk about? The four of us should talk about later.
As far as using another, you know, small library for something like that, I think that's certainly okay to do if you want. It's something you'd have to discuss with, you know, the other folks on the team. As far as worrying about it now versus later, you know, you can certainly have a discussion about it whenever, and you know, it's always something that like you can spend a little bit of time talking about and try and come to some sort of, I don't know, understanding. Yeah, but as long as you're, for your actual work, sticking to the AC for, you know, going week by week, it's okay to brainstorm for future. And in fact, that can be good because something, if you know you're going to handle something a certain way in the future, you might do something slightly different now. So I would say that's fine.
Okay.
I would say, at least from my own opinion, that maybe we should just stick to alert for now, and then when we do get to like the UI and design aspect of this, we can like implement those libraries and kind of talk on them and kind of brainstorm on like what libraries maybe we've used and kind of use that, because I know that that when we get to the design portion, like that's all of us together and not just like paired programming. So that's my opinion on it. But yeah.
I
I've
agree
also
with that.
seen, yeah, I've also seen like a lot of the time, because a part of the styling is going to be choosing the library that you're using, and a lot of the time, like a toast or whatever is included in that. So if you use a library now, you might be swapping it out for the one that's like in your like UI library or whatever you choose later. You can also just like leave a comment that like when we style this, we'll replace this with a toast. Um, so yeah, I don't think there's a problem with either one, but I think like leaving it kind of agnostic to the styling now is uh safer, I guess, so you're not swapping stuff out later. And then something that you can do is just like think about like what is a toast really doing? It's just kind of like showing a message temporarily. So you can try to figure a way of how to do that in the code or use an alert or something built in. But
Okay, I guess we can move on to the learning module for this week.
and this is the first time we've done it like this. So I'm interested in seeing how it goes. So the way the learning modules were um, presented this week was uh, like a reverse classroom, kind of like you can do it on your own, and then we'll talk about them. So I'm just gonna run through the ones that were on the project brief, and then we can see what we want to talk about. So the first one was Git basics. Um, so a lot of the time, um, you know, when you're learning about development and software development, you learn about Git, but there's a lot of like just pushing straight to main and not using branches and that kind of thing. It sounds like a lot of us in the group have uh like more than that baseline experience from previous projects though. I'm curious like what everyone's experience with Git is.
I can go first.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you go first.
Um, I've never collaborated on a project with others before, so usually I'm just pushing to main. But I've done some projects where I have like a dev branch, um, and I can kind of switch back and forth. Or like I've played around with like even from the dev branch, like having a feature and then pushing it to the dev branch. But generally, like when I'm just making projects, even like my most recent project, I'm just pushing to main. So I did watch the presentation and I'm familiar with most of the commands anyways, but I find that everything that we're doing is super beneficial, especially for me because I haven't done it like this before. I can already see like the organizational benefits and just keeping track of who does what and just like not ruining the project. So yeah, it's been really good, but yeah, I've had very minimal experience using Git with other people.
In my boot camp, we did use Git, but it was not organized at all. It was kind of like, here's the main, you should use branches. Somebody's gonna merge stuff, and so that it's been really cool to have much more structure and much more just knowing that everyone's on the same page. I think that has been the most important part, is like we're all trying to do the same thing. So if somebody does mess up, there's a resource to figure out how, or like what we could have done differently, rather than it being like what does it messed up even mean? So that's been really cool to see it actually working. Like I had kind of understood what we were trying to do, but now it makes a lot more sense.
Okay, very cool. Aloe, Amelia, do you have anything that you want to add or kind of in agreement?
Yeah, I can go. I my boot camp covered Git, but a lot of how they covered it was kind of like, here's what it is, but then like not kind of giving like more of the options and things like that. And I have not done pair programming before, so normally, so like, let me back it up. I worked on a contract job where we used GitLab, so I kept hearing PR, 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 and meant nothing to me because it's a merge request over there. And so I realized that they're kind of the same thing. But I was always working on my own branch. And I found that the struggle is that sometimes I would forget to get myself in the right branch. And then I would have all this code that I had written and have to like take all my commits and then make a new branch and merge into that branch and then basically take that. There's a whole thing that I learned how to do because I kept messing up and not being in the right branch. So I've had a good amount of experience, still very novice, but a lot of experience on how to fix my mistakes, which is not fun. But yeah, that's kind of my experience with Git.
Yeah, so as far as my experience with Git, with working with other individuals in the same project, for the bootcamp I did, we had one full stack app that we built where we had to work with two other developers. So we did do some merging between the three of us. But I think just getting more opportunities to practice with it is always great. Yeah, so it's been a good this has been a good experience for that.
Cool.
I do
Yeah.
have a quick question about Git, and specifically about commit etiquette, because I was noticing before we even really started the project and we were all updating the collaborator file. My commit message is very long and thorough as opposed to everybody else's who was like, update collaborator. And I was like, oh, maybe I was too in depth. So I guess I'm just curious if like, I've always just done things where like, I like to, like, I try to keep it like concise with what I'm doing, but like is very thorough with how I've done a thing. And I also recently learned that you can commit or you can make commits that have like a subject and a body, which I don't know how to do yet, but I know that it's possible. So I guess I'm curious if you like have done a bunch of things and you're doing a commit, like I kind of have always just, put all of those things in my commit so that it's thorough and then I have that in my commit history. But my question is like, what is the etiquette?
Danielle, Nick, you might have different opinions, but I think that thorough is usually better, but not okay. Reading the chat. Um, not I guess like trying to find that line of like not overdoing it. Like that initial commit where you're adding your name isn't the most complicated thing. So like a shorter message there would be fine. Versus like making it clear like what your change is for and like what it's doing. That's something in the like communication for devs slides too, is like being clear with like I guess the intent rather than the what. Yeah, so that's my answer.
I would say that different, depending on where you are, different companies and organizations will have different preferences. I've heard of some places having like very strict ways that everyone does commit messages. And so you just learn to do it that way, and that's how you do it when you're there. You know, in general, if there is like a universal one, it's usually to start it with like some sort of verb. That sounds weird, but it's like add this thing or create this component. And I'm sure there are articles and resources out there about general the like general accepted way. In my personal experience of my current job, like no one, we're a small team of just like 4 people, and like no one cares at all about what you say in your commit message. Like there are some that are just like, you know, one of my common commit messages is forgot to do build, forgot to like fix my dumb typo, you know. So it's like, you know, it's not always very serious. So kind of just depends where you work. But there are generally better ways.
I did have one more question. Sorry, while we're on this topic. My boot camp had us use GitHub Desktop, and it kind of takes the command line like out of the equation for most things. And I'm wondering if you guys think I should try to not use it, or if it really matters, or I know like I'm definitely like I know the commands, but I'm definitely like very like what do I do again? Because I just using the interface is like push a button, type it in, push another button. Do you guys have a thought about that? Or?
I personally think it's fine as long as you are, you know, achieving your goal. I think all of us, most of us probably use VS Code also, and it has a bunch of like the built-in like Git features as well, like switching, making new branches, um, all of that stuff. So, um, whatever you're most comfortable with, and then you know, if you do run into an issue, like Aloe was saying, where it's like harder to debug, then you're probably gonna have to do some research on using the command line. But I don't think that it's like a deal breaker if you don't know like all of those commands and you're using a UI instead.
My former mentor brought up Git GUIs, and I hate them personally. I know that there's a lot of value to them for like the visual aspect. And I probably hate them honestly because they're just new to me, and the command line is what I know. But I can see the value in like why they're great, and they recommended them. So I would echo Jeremiah and say whatever is cozy with you.
I would just add that I do think the command line stuff is definitely worth you know, getting comfortable with. This is you know, it'll again depend on where you work, and you know, they might use the desktop app or have some other system, or they might not even use GitHub. They might use a completely different version control hosting platform. Probably not, but some places do. So I would say that if you want to in your personal projects use those GUI tools, that's fine, but definitely it's definitely worth being familiar with the commands, because a lot of places still use that.
I have one more Git question. Uh, do we have preference of squashing commits? I noticed that with our PRs, we're like super thorough with the way that we give a description. And so I'm just curious if there's a preference on squashing commits.
No. There might be, depending on where you work. But for TCL, there isn't like a preferred way. Yeah, a lot of the way that commits work is going to depend on, or like how they are handled is going to depend on like where you are. Like my mentor for this program for TCL when I went through it, he said that he likes to do like a bunch of like really small commits as he's working through an issue, just that way he has like that whole history. But then he was working at this company where like they just wanted like several like really big commits with most of the work done. So that was like some conflict that they were always working through, um, that kind of thing. So I think it's just gonna depend. But for TCL, there's no, I guess like preferred way.
I think what I'm meaning by that is less about like how much work should you be doing in between commits, but more so when you're doing the pull request and like you're kind of deleting that branch and having that merge, like squashing the commits, because to my knowledge, doesn't that just kind of like smoosh them all into one, and then like whatever your pull request is, that kind of becomes the commit essentially, as opposed to like keeping all of those individual commits.
Hmm. I'm not 100% sure. Danielle, Nick, do you know?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the team. But yeah, you're right, Aloe. Squash and merge essentially is just, yeah, if you have like 5 commits in your PR, you squash and merge, it just puts it into one commit. And then like in whatever your main branch is, we'll just show that one commit instead of like the 5 that you had. Yeah, I know with like commits, like some people get really religious about it. And personally, my opinion is I just want to ship code. So, but yeah, these are great questions. I don't mean to like discount you. I'm more making fun of the people that are religious about it. But yeah, team agreements, just making sure you're aligned with everyone. But yeah, I think at TCL, yeah, we don't really have a preference. You could do one or the other.
Um, okay. And then Danielle, we're pretty much at time.
Yeah, maybe next week we can pick up on some of the others if we have time. Seems good to me. Or if people want to asynchronously chat about the topics in our channel, that sounds good.
Do you have
But
anything
yeah,
you really wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
yeah. If there was anything like any other learning module that someone has questions on, that might be easier because I don't want to keep people for too long. But yeah, I guess the last 2 things are office hours, and I'll be the GitHub code reviewer. So at me when you're ready for that. And Jeremiah, did you want to say when you're doing office hours or?
I'll send out a doodle.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah, and if you have any questions about like any of the other learning module homeworks, let's discuss it in the channel.
I did have a question just really quickly about that like the forced change to main situation. I haven't done any of those commands yet just because I wasn't super clear on how to do it correctly. Because I did have like one like test branch that I've just been like playing around with. And I've never stashed before, but I can probably just figure that out. But the one thing I just wanted clarity on was number 5, where it says get rebase and then dash X theirs main. Like, am I actually typing that exact thing, or is X theirs supposed to be replaced with something else?
Oh yeah, this is a great question. Yeah, if you have an open branch that you're currently working on, what you're going to want to do is git rebase. It'll be your branch name and then main. So X theirs is just a fill-in for whatever your branch is that you want to rebase. Personally, I probably went like the first 5 years of my career with never rebasing because it's a little scary. But in cases like this, if you want to reset the history, like there's no other option. So
Okay, so if I have that one test branch, then I'll just do dash whatever the name is and then main.
I don't think it even needs the dash, does it? I think it's just git rebase, the branch name, and then main. I think.
I can also just look it up. I just wasn't sure. I was like, is X theirs like a get command that I don't know? Just
Yeah,
wanted to be sure.
Hannah, also, if you have questions on that, I think David said like you can reach out to him. He's the one that was like
I can give
handling
some
that whole
clarity
thing.
on it also. The reason that the history was changed is my legal name was put into our code base, and then it was in the commit history, and I asked for that to not be in the commit history. And so he had to go back and do a lot of Git things, and in order to have that translate throughout the entire project, that was why there needed to be a rebase. So like in your personal little branch it doesn't really matter, I would say, because that's the only thing that was being changed. And in future branches, we won't have to do any of that because it's already going to be changed in the history.
Okay.
I have a question that's somewhat related to that. So David's instruction said, for any open branches, and we by the time he had posted that message, Ella and I had already finished all our work, so we had pushed it up. It was done. So I can just delete that branch from like in my terminal and not worry about doing any rebasing, right?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Before you
Okay.
branch off of main though, definitely make sure you pull down the current main before you do that. But yeah,
Right.
you're good for now, Amelia, to directly answer your question.
Thank you.
That's also just going forward when we get to the start of a new week and you're making the new branches, always just make sure to run a git pull main so that you have everything current before you start the new one.
Fun. All right. Unless anyone else has any other questions, I think ready to call this week's done. All right. Yeah, and if you have anything asynchronously, don't hesitate to be loud in the Slack. So
Yep. Y'all
have
are
a good
doing
week,
great.
y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.